Eagles! What an absolutely spectacular 4th of July holiday. Anytime that you get a chance to spend time with family, and anytime you get a chance to have some food, sit out by the pool, no one harassing you, my type of day, man. And my type of holiday. Hopefully everybody's charged up. Hey, we never do this, by the way. 22 days to the start of training camps, July 27th. It's absolutely insane. We are right here, right around the corner. It's amazing. I mean, we are packed. By the way, for the rest of the week, Pete Rose tomorrow. Chuck Todd will be on with us on Friday. Bobby Valentine, Seth Joyner are all going to join us over the next couple days here, which is absolutely insane. And on top of that, get this. We're trying to get Kirk Cousins on the show on Thursday, so it's absolutely remarkable. I couldn't think of anybody better to open up the show after a 4-day weekend. Now, she doesn't work 4 days through the holidays like this. Joy takes off time during, like, normal time when people are working, but during the holidays, she is always on the tube. And by the way, I think she should be up for that Undisputed. Speak for yourselves, very own and our dear friend, Joy Taylor joins us now here to open up the program. Joy, how you doing?
I'm good. You're right. I do take off when everyone else is working. But on holidays, I'm going to be on air.
You always work, Joy, during the holidays. I always see you. Joy, I said this to Michael Irvin the other day. I said either you or Joy should be Skip's side co-host in that Undisputed. Joy, have you, before we get going into the questions about the Eagles, have you been shocked on where you are right now and how fast this thing is going for you?
My career?
Yeah.
I feel very blessed. I mean, I don't know if I would say shocked because I know it feels like yesterday for us, but I have been in the business since 2007. So I'm not that young pup that was answering phones for you and booking guests. That was a long time ago. It doesn't feel like that long ago, but it kind of was. What year was that?
That was 2012?
That was 11 years ago. Dan.
Let me tell you a quick story of Joy over at Dolphin Camp. Every time she showed up, she would go around, grab everybody. She grabbed Nick Saban. We're sitting there, and I'm going like this. I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking to myself, she's just going around. She knew everybody in the organization. Joy, I mean, going out there, sweating our baguettes off, and then seeing where you are now, seeing everything, it's just been a remarkable ride for you. And by the way, I shouldn't have said shocked because I'm you know me, I'm not shocked in anything you do, but I'm shocked that you've knocked down as many hurdles as you have. Maybe that is more appropriate because you know the hurdles you had to get over.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy business, you know that, and I've been really lucky to work with some amazing talent over the years that I think have really helped prepare me for where I am now. I will say the only thing I do not miss those Miami Dolphin training camp days. Listen, there's no way to dress appropriately for that training camp. I'm like, sorry guys, I'm wearing shorts. It's 98 degrees out here. How did you do training camp as a Miami Hurricane? I don't understand how people do physical activity. I'm sitting there like pecking away on a computer under a tent, and it's the most miserable experience. How do you actually work out?
Let me say this to you, Joy. When I first got down from the Northeast and I got down to Miami, I called my grandfather up after my first week of training camp with the Hurricanes. I went like this. And then even with the Bucks, I just went like this. I said, I got to quit. There's not a chance in hell that I can go through this. And my grandfather said something that really stuck with me. He goes, well, just think about this in November when those big fat asses come down from Notre Dame or Michigan or Oklahoma and have to play you guys at 1 o'clock. I was always like, hey, me and Jerome Brown to be like this, Joy. Hey, pretty hot out here, isn't it, big boy?
South Beach flu. South Beach flu will get you. It is an advantage that those South Florida teams have, but man, it is hot out there.
Absolutely. Joy, let me get into the Eagles here. I've been saying this about Jalen Hurts. I think elite means that you have to be doing it for an extended period of time. Over the last 3 years, this is what the Eagle fans in Philadelphia, and this is where we're based, have thought about him. One, they hated the pick. The next year, they weren't sure. Last year, he was great. All three emotions in all 3 of the last years. How do you look at Jalen Hurts?
So I would tend to agree that to be in the elite space, you do need to have a pretty solid body of work. I would say at least 2 years of that level of play. I kind of went through the same emotions. I was never sold on Carson Wentz. He was too erratic for me. He wasn't consistent enough. His talent level, obviously, had a very high ceiling, but he had a very low floor to me. So I didn't hate the pick, particularly where he was selected. He obviously had a lot of talent and leadership ability. I wasn't sure about him after the second year, like everyone else in Philadelphia, and now I absolutely love him. So I think he's the future. I think for me, I saw enough last year of him on the field, but also the intangibles for that position that we know he has. To me, sometimes you get guys in that position who have this burst of success and they make it really deep in the playoffs, or they, have this big statistical season, but they don't really have that essence of getting better every year. And Jalen does. Jalen has gotten better every year. And that to me is a sign that he can continue to grow. I know people say, they still want to see him do it without that, the talent around him. I don't really like the talent around him conversation to go too far. Some guys have a lot of talent and it's obvious that they're able to use that talent. They're not maybe the best player on the offense. I don't feel that way with Jalen. So I would feel very comfortable if I'm a Philadelphia fan with paying him and having him be in that position for the future, because he's gotten better every year and he cares about getting better and he cares about winning. And he's a leader in that sense, as well as being a leader on the field. And I think that's what's encouraging about him. So I think he'll continue to get better. And I feel comfortable calling him an elite quarterback. And I think he's the best quarterback in the NFC.
How about this too, Joy? Every single guy that was on that offense a year ago had a career year. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard was on his way at tight end to having a career year until he ended up getting hurt. Even Miles Sanders had 1,300 yards. I mean, here's a quarterback that didn't throw for 4,000 yards. You would not say that, in the realm of it, when you're looking at the other big guys around the room. They did win 14 ball games. They got to the Super Bowl. They won the NFC, and everyone around him got better. And to me, that's the true essence of what a guy is all about, making the guys around you better. I mean, A.J. Brown was good, Joy, in Tennessee, but 68 catches. Last year he had 90 catches, 1,500 yards. I mean, that's got to be because of Hurts.
And we got to see what they looked like in that offense without him when he was hurt. Everyone was ranting and raving about, the offense put up all these numbers. And like, what did you watch? Because I watched a completely different game. We got to see how valuable he was to that offense when he was injured. So that is also encouraging to me, because although it was unfortunate and it probably ended up costing him the MVP, your replacements, if you stay at the same level and you're winning games at the same count, that should tell you how good and how valuable you are to that offense. And we got to see that.
The Eagles lose both coordinators, Joy, offense and defensive coordinator. Now they got 2 new ones in there. Do you still believe that they're the team to beat in the NFC, not just the East?
Yeah, I'm kind of an organization nerd in that too. I think we tend to overlook those kind of changes within organizations and how much that can disrupt things. I tend to think that they have enough talent, and obviously they still have the same head coach there, that they can overcome those kind of changes. And of course, if you're really an elite team, you will be able to, because this is what happens when you start winning, is you start losing coaches. That's the name of the business. Start winning, then they poach your coaches. That's how it goes. So it is an actual sign that you're doing well when you start losing guys off your coaching staff and they're getting promotions. I think they are still the team to beat in the NFC, because I think Jalen is the best quarterback in the NFC. I think you saw a lot of really good things from the Eagles over the course of the season. And when you look around the NFC, the teams that I would feel good about, I have major question marks at the most important position, which is quarterback. San Francisco has a loaded roster. They always do. Shanahan is a great coach. He always finds ways to make it work. But we still don't know who's playing quarterback for them. Is it Trey Lance? We don't know. Is Brock Purdy going to be back? We don't know. Is Sam Darnold going to play? Well, he kind of has been doing okay lately, but like, could he just go back to being what Sam Darnold has been throughout his career? Absolutely. So we have no idea what's going on in San Francisco. Dallas, I mean, we know Dallas has a ton of talent. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They have an all-pro wide receiver. They have greatness all around. But is Dak going to blow it in the biggest moment? We don't know. So the Eagles to me are the only team that I don't have real question marks outside of how they're going to adjust to the new coordinators.
You know, you bring up Dak, Joy, and I say this about him. He's going to be owed $49 million. You potentially have an extension that you have to decide whether or not he's the guy. Brock Purdy got to the NFC title game making $970,000. I mean, you're paying Dak Prescott $49 million. You and I go back to this conversation a long way now, and I'll still say this. Jerry Jones has replaced every guy on that organization, Troy Aikman, Tony Romo, Dak Prescott. He's never been able to replace Jimmy Johnson. And now you're looking at this scenario here where here he is again with Dak. I mean, the decision-making from the front office, you just talked about culture. Do you think Jerry's the one guy that is the roadblock to that team's success? Because, Joy, it's the same shit. After 28 years, we're still here talking this.
Dan, I am like the tinfoil hat person with the Cowboys. I got suckered into the Cowboys, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. They had that crazy roster, and I was like, no, like they can do it. This is the year, blah, blah, blah. Nope, they didn't. It was the same thing that it's always been with the Cowboys. The Cowboys haven't been to an forget a Super Bowl, an NFC championship game in almost 30 years.
Yeah.
Like almost as long as I've been alive. Just kidding. I can't say that. A really long time. A really long time. And you know I'm a Jimmy zealot.
Yep.
I know you're a Jimmy zealot. I also am an organization nerd. Like I said, like I think that structure and culture matters. I think Jerry Jones is the greatest businessman that has ever owned any sports organization, period. They are worth more than any sports organization in the world. In the world. That includes all the European soccer leagues. Like at anything you want to throw in there, it doesn't matter. The Cowboys are bigger. They're bigger brands. They're worth more money. And I think that when it comes to the entertainment side of the business, no one comes close to Jerry. He is in a league all his own. But I do think that there's something about the structure of the Cowboys that keeps them from getting to that next level. And like, until they get to the NFC Championship game, I'm right. Like, there's just something missing there. And you look at the defense, it's like top to bottom, it's crazy talented defense. You look at the talent that they've had on the offensive side of the ball at receiver, at running back. You look at the offensive lines that they've had. It's like, what is it? What is this thing? This like imaginary bubble thing that the Cowboys can't get out of? I don't know, but I'm like kind of into science. It just seems at this point, it's almost scientific that the Cowboys are not going to get past the second round of the playoffs. It doesn't matter how much talent they have.
I completely agree. 2 last questions for you here, Joy. Aaron Rodgers, the impact you think he has. I mean, I saw the guy the other day. He's at a Let's Get Stoned convention, and he's the keynote speaker at a Let's Get Stoned convention. And I'm like, well, you know, we're talking about Jalen Hurts being in the laboratory, and there he is blowing, you know, doob circles at a convention. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, does he bring the impact that everybody in New York thinks he's going to bring?
Here's the thing. We've seen 2 high-level quarterbacks, and I'm not putting Matthew Stafford in the same conversation as Tom Brady, but, you know, a guy at the top of the league, leave their place that they've been for a long time, go to a new place, and win immediately. Not like win playoff games. Win a Super Bowl. Tom Brady leaves, immediately wins a Super Bowl with Tampa. Matthew Stafford leaves, immediately wins a Super Bowl with the Rams. Then you have Russell Wilson. And we all think it's going to be the exact same situation. We were talking very highly about Denver for years. They have all this talent. They're just a quarterback away. You bring in Russell Wilson, who's won a Super Bowl, who's been to 2 Super Bowls, very talented, and it is a unmitigated disaster. It is unwatchable football. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as Russell Wilson. I don't think it's going to be as good as Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford. And not that the Jets fans should temper their expectations or excitement. Absolutely. Enjoy it. It's fun. Aaron Rodgers is in the house. He's obviously a massive improvement from that disaster that you had last year. And I do think that he provides a sense of urgency to the rest of the team. And when you know you have a guy that can win at that position, you just approach life differently. So whether he's able to actually take them to the promised land or not, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't know if Robert Saleh is a good head coach or not. I mean, I think he could be, but he's only won 11 games in the league. That's not the same as it was with the Rams or with Tampa Bay with Sean McVay and Bruce Arians. Those guys were certified coaches. Sean McVay had taken Jared Goff to a Super Bowl. The Jets are the Jets. Like, it's the New York Jets. The last time that the New York Jets were good, I was a fan of the New York Jets. That's how long ago it was. So I just think he's not walking into a ready-made situation the way that we think it is. I think it's closer to the Denver type of situation than it was for Matthew Stafford and the Rams and for Tom Brady and Tampa Bay. But I do think he will make them better. Now, in the AFC, is that going to be good enough when you have Tua and the Dolphins, Josh Allen and the Bills? You've got Bill Belichick, who's going to steal a game or two from somebody in that division. You've got Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence and Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert, all these guys to get through in the AFC. I don't know, but I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Well, always remember something, Joy, before we get to the last question here. The Jets, the second most famous fan or the second most famous Jet next to name it is Fireman Ed. Guy bangs his head. And they haven't been good since we put a man on the moon. So, I mean, that's 1969 when Neil Armstrong was on the moon, the last time the Jets were Super Bowl contenders. You mentioned Tua. Joy, you know, there's a part of me that says this. I mean, okay, if you're a boxer and you get a concussion, you're out 6 months. Here we are, man. I mean, the Dolphins are in a pretty peculiar position. They picked up the option, $18 million for the kid. But I think that's the length of what they're invested in. What's the future of Tua, in your opinion? How do you see this playing out with them?
Well, I hope that he can stay healthy for the season and they can take advantage of
You hope?
Well, I mean, I think it's been the
No, I think it's where we are, Joy. We're hoping.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this past season what he's capable of when he's healthy. Why he was drafted where he was drafted, why he was sought after the way he was in college. We saw that in the NFL, and that was encouraging and exciting, and it translated to winning. So we know he's capable of winning. We know he's capable of playing at a high level. We know he's capable of elevating the talent around him. They have maybe the most talented receiving core in the league. They brought in a bunch of new talent this offseason. So they have a coach that believes in them. Tua's had a very interesting start to his career. I do not like how the Dolphins have handled it. If you're going to draft somebody, commit to them. And it just felt like every step of the way, he was always like doubted and picked apart. And is he good enough? Like, what did you take him for? It was like the
Dolphins too, Joy, were dating other quarterbacks.
Yes, the whole time. Tom Brady, like, go down the list. So, and I did not like that because it never really gave him a solid launching pad to really have the confidence he needed to have as a young quarterback. Whether he was good enough at that point or not didn't matter. What the hell did you draft him for if you were going to do all that? So I like that they committed to him because I think that's important for young players, particularly a player in his position. So at this point, he's 100% capable of winning games and elevating the Dolphins. He just has to stay healthy. And, obviously the concussion thing is concerning, but it's his career. And I mean, I support him. I think he's a great talent. I love what the Dolphins have built around him. I love the relationship he has with Mike McDaniel. So, there's a lot of teams this year that on paper are very interesting, and the AFC is going to be a gauntlet. But if they can stay healthy, I don't see why the Dolphins aren't a contender.
Me too. Joy, I know you got to roll and you found time. You squeeze me in for all the work that you're doing right now. I can't thank you enough. And boy, I'll tell you what, like I said at the beginning when we started, um, I shouldn't have used the word surprise because we all saw it day one, or some of us did. Saw it day one. One thing I will leave her with is this, guys. One thing I remember, Joy, I go like this. You're my
I
update
always
guy.
get nervous. I always get nervous when you start telling stories, Dan. I never
Okay,
know
well,
if
she goes
I
like
never
this. She
know
goes,
if I can improve these stories.
I go like this. I go to Joy. I go just like this. She goes, you're doing my updates tomorrow. And how she did that with Colin Cowherd with the news at the top and the bottom. Joy came up with that on my show years ago. So I'm sure she implemented that on that. And she looked at me and she goes, you could do that. I go, you know how I hate everybody in this building. I'm doing it whether they like it or not. Joy was always kind of like the buffer in the middle. When she left, man, all hell broke loose. Joy, congratulations to your success. Dee and I can root for you. You know that every single day. We thank you so much for doing this, hon, and your friendship with us all these years.
Thank you, Dan. Love you. And tell Dee I said hi.
You bet. That is the great Joy Taylor. Speak for yourself. Don't forget on Fox. You can catch her. She's out there each and every single day. I think her and Michael Irvin are probably going to be up for Undisputed. So, yeah, man, hey, there's too many stories. That's right, because Joy goes, oh, my God, please, nothing that could get me in trouble. So, all right, we'll reset. Hey, Gary Cobb will join us at 4:30 Eastern time. Hey, by the way, like I said, we got Pete Rose tomorrow. We got Bobby Valentine on Friday. We got a bunch of guys that are going to be stepping in these next couple days. It's been crazy. So we're going to reset here. 22 days. 22 days to training camp. Dude, we're 3 weeks away from getting this thing going and the start of the 2023 season. This is fantastic. Twiz, you did behave. I'm very shocked. Some of you guys, nobody was over the top tone. I love the fact that you guys behaved yourself. That means, I promise you, I'll keep bringing Joy back if you behave yourselves. James, thank you. I'll keep bringing Joy Taylor back. If you guys behave, you guys were chill, Tony, you guys were chill. So I feel pretty good about that, right? Everybody behaved themselves, right? The chat almost fell out of their seats when Joy came on. Well, I promised you, if you behaved yourselves, like I said, there's only one guy that we've banned from the program, and it wasn't really me, it was my aunt. Lady Dykes is the only guy that can't come on anymore. Okay, it's the only guy that can't come on any longer. So we are mature sills. Really? Shit. From the host down to everybody in the building. There ain't a guy in. Tone's the most mature guy in here. Okay? Right? So, hey, that was really cool, man. Joy's kicking ass. Thanks, Barb. I really appreciate it. What did we... No! Mr. International, Joy Taylor was just on. That's all. All right.